Right, so I've got this onto the subframe right now, and I'm just taking some measurements. So this hole here is like in line with the center line of the shock. So to give myself a little bit of meat past the stud, 11 inches looks good. And then this measurement across here is about 38.5 to the center line of the shock, which is not bad at all, because the turrets here are 39.5, so that's ½ inch each side. And the height that I need to deal with from the center of the well, to get the prop right in the top of the tunnel, which is what I want, I've got to cut 9 inches into the turret. So I've got to come and cut all the way up to here to get the chassis rails in. They're going to be all the way up here. 11 inches might pose a problem with my fuel tank. But I think I might just sneak it in. And the width between the chassis rails is 34 inches, which is this point here to this point here, which pretty much follows the original chassis rails of the car, albeit they're going to be straight chassis rails, and on these they taper out the more rearward you go. I think what I need to do is start drilling off some spot welds and cutting some material off of this and seeing what we're left with. Spot weld drill, just basically like a little point in the middle, center it up, and then around the outside it's kind of flat, a bit like a milling cutter, so it just literally just takes off the upper layer, the top layer, rather than drilling through the whole panel. Edge. Okay, so I've knocked the majority of it off, just done it quick and rough. The rest I'll clean up with chisel, spot weld drill, and also flat disc. Just clean it up a bit. I mean, I don't know what to do about that. Maybe I'll cut this off flat, flush across the back. I haven't decided yet. So now I'm probably just going to... So the car is kind of leveled up. It's not perfect. See, it's not quite perfect. It's good enough for the minute. But when I go to get this subframe all mounted properly, this needs to be bang on. So this is sort of the height above the floor that this lot's going to sit, which is fairly alarming, I guess. But it's got to go about at least a foot further forward. Now, in order to get it a foot further forward, quite obviously I've got to cut some of my turrets away on both sides, and also I'm going to have to cut away chassis rails below, cross member at the front here. I might be able to retain some of that actually, but I think no, I'm not going to be able to retain some of that because the subframe needs to come up through and the subframe will hit it. And obviously there's double wishbones. The top wishbone's going to be probably going through. I mean, let's have a look. So it needs clearance practically right up to the height of the bottom of the chassis leg. So the turret, I mean the upper wishbone's going to be operating up in this area. But outboard of this, you know, this area here, it's going to be more in line with the side of this chassis leg. So ideally I need to get the chassis legs in. To be honest, I'm not sure if I'm going to have a problem with the fuel tank, because this is going to be higher than the fuel tank. But somehow I've got to tie it all into the chassis and make it strong and not look shit bad. It's got to look decent. Let's see if I can balance it in at the right about sort of. So I guess that's how far forward it's going to sit in the car, pretty much. Fortunately, it looks like my turrets are going to line up half decent. Of course, now it's about 4 inches higher than it needs to be, so it'll be 4 inches lower. Boot floor's going to have to tie in somehow. Maybe I'll just tie it right into this. Maybe I'll tie it right into this rear panel piece here. It's going to be semi-space framed at the rear, I think, which means I need to earn some money so I can buy a pipe bender. Also, I need a solution to get these 4x114 wheels onto those 4x100 rear uprights. Does anyone know of any solution for that other than bolt-on spaces? These are already like ET minus 13 or so. Probably the minimum bolt-on spacer I could use is a 20 mil, maybe a 17 mil. I've had 17s before. but then that would make these -30, and I'm not sure if that's going to fit inside the car. Probably will not fit inside those quarters. So the solution needs to be come up with. There isn't going to be enough meat in the original drive flanges to drill them, re-drill them. So I'm going to need discs, some sort of drive flange that will fit, or I change wheels. You can get these in 8J 4x100, which is what I'm going to do on the front, but I really want to run my 9s on the rear. So I'll have 4 9Js for the rear. Obviously I can't run 4 at the same time, and then I'll have 2 8Js for the front when I put the MX-5 front subframe on. So I might save cutting until the weekend to get that chassis mounted. So tomorrow evening I might, with any luck, get all of this stripped out and maybe start offering up the front subframe. I've got the option of cutting more out of the MX-5 obviously, so that I've got more chassis that I can use, but we will see.